Well, good morning. I'm gonna try to be a little bit quiet because everyone is still asleep. It's another up and at 'em super early morning as I'm trying still to beat the heat that we have going on. I'm really hopeful that this is our last week with this heat wave. Last week I focused exclusively on the outdoor kitchen just because I'm really excited to get back outside, but man, that was poor timing because after I made that decision, we got hit with just a terrible heat wave of approximately 95-degree heat the entire week, and man. But I think today is gonna be the last of it. It's gonna come back down to a more normal 85-degree temperature. So today I'm gonna be building this sort of floating concrete barbecue area right here, which I'm scratching my head over how to actually do and make sure it stays anchored to the wall well enough and doesn't, fall down. But it's curious because as I'm measuring out my work from yesterday, and I'm off by a little less than 1 centimeter in terms of front to back, and which feels like a lot. I was beating myself up over that, but I realized that if I was measuring this in inches, I'd only be off by about 1/3 of an inch, which I would be very proud of that. So the metric system feels a little bit more precise, and it's just way easier. All right, so I'm building the formworks for the barbecue area, which is going to be very different than anything else I've ever built before. One, because it's going to have kind of a floating element to it. I need to make sure it can hold what I think is going to be about 500 pounds of concrete. Two, it needs to be the inverse mold of what will eventually house this cooking grate, which I need to cut down and modify. But I want to make sure I can slot it in at different heights. Yeah, we'll figure it out. The reason I'm using nails is because I really need this to be able to be disassembled very carefully. If I were to hammer this together with regular nails, not whatever these are, brad nails, pin nails, then it wouldn't come out very easily. I need to be able to, after it cures for let's say 4 or 5 hours, very carefully disassemble certain parts in different stages so that I can do finishing work while it all hopefully holds together. So the tricky thing is I have to design this in a way that can both be disassembled easily and I can reach in and finish off the concrete, so I can't put it too low, and lots to think through. All right, so this is the inverse mold of the slots. It'll make a lot more sense once it's finished, but this will slide in and out of these slots to raise and lower it to get closer and further away from the fire. Oh, that's an interesting idea. I wonder if I should have it sit on the lip. That would be more stable. Good morning.
Good morning.
Look at this thing.
Oh my goodness, that is so cool.
It's fun. So it's going to recess in approximately to there. But then here's where it gets complicated because I have to mount this to where it can support 500 pounds of material, but it has to be floating like this.
How?
I don't know.
From above? Is that how you're going to do it?
I thought about that, but I think that I can tie it into this from above.
Okay.
So I have to build up supports here.
Yeah.
And then I probably put in cross braces here and then cross braces there because
okay.
But any kind of bracing can't interfere with
right,
the concrete.
It has to.
And then there'll be a platform down here so that the concrete can flow underneath.
That's amazing. I was having a hard time picturing how you're going to get the indents in for the grill.
Yeah.
But that makes a lot of sense. Like, it seems a little bit more simple than, what I had in my mind.
Getting it mounted is the only problem now.
That's going to be hard.
Come on. Hopefully things are starting to make sense. This is the outer formwork, and this is the inner formwork. Just need to figure out how to get it to float in place like this. But first, I'm going to figure out how to put in the bottom floating shelf and get all the rebar in. See how it works? Mm-hmm. This, I have to figure out how to float this here. And then, as I pour the concrete in, the concrete flows underneath and holds it all together. Very confusing, eh? Mm-hmm. But, what it means for you is that when it's all dry, I'll cook you some good food. Well, I probably got a little bit carried away here with the rebar because I was just using leftover material, especially on this bottom panel here. This is some obnoxiously thick rebar, but hey, it needs to hold a lot of weight. And I've been trying to be very careful to make sure the rebar sits just inside of it. You need to protect the rebar from the elements because if water can get to this and start rusting, then it'll crack the concrete. Beautiful monstrosity of a creation. Ended up being a little bit thicker than I thought it was going to be. I planned on it being a little bit thinner, but that's okay. I think it looks cool. Mm-hmm. Spraying WD-40 on the inside of this just so the cement doesn't stick to it as much. I'm doing it now because once we put this board on, I won't be able to reach it very good. Alright, where'd my board go? Here we go. Alright, nail gun for you. Ah, no! All my screws went all over the place. That's for you.
I could pick them up if you want.
Ooh, that sounds like a great job. Perfect, that's great. One last look at this monstrosity before I close it all in. It's pretty wild what goes into formworks for something this weird and unique. Thank you, Alexa. Alright, first things first, plaster all up there. Lots and lots of them. So really quick, allow me a brief minute to tell you about today's video sponsor, Delete Me, and to remind you about protecting your personal data while online. If you're not aware, Delete Me are the privacy experts that we entrust to go out and find our personal information that's been spread around the internet and to have it removed on our behalf. There are data brokers out there that their sole job is to collect your personal information, gather it all up, package it up, and to sell it off to the highest bidder, whether that's to advertisers or to potential scammers. Now, realistically, you personally could go out there and have all your information removed by individually sending out a personal letter to everybody who has your information, but when we first got our quarterly report and realized that there are hundreds of listings of our personal information, it just is not really feasible unless you're trusting an agency like Delete Me. When you sign up for Delete Me, you'll get your own personal privacy report within 7 days that shows where all of your information is left public, and then Delete Me will go out on your behalf and have that information removed. Right now, if you also want to join Delete Me, you can go to joindeleteme.com/Voyagers to get 20% off, or you can scan the QR code on screen right now, or simply enter the coupon code Voyagers at checkout. But with that, thank you so much to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. Alright, so here's where things get a little bit different. I'm going to be adding a plasticizer, which should help it have a smoother finish, I guess. I really don't understand it, to be honest. But it's supposed to be good for concrete countertops, so this is kind of my first trial run experiment. But then more importantly, I'm going to be adding a colorant. This is a pure black colorant. Again, experimenting. I've never done anything like this. Funny thing is that all of the instructions to the plasticizer are in French, and all of the instructions to the colorant are in German. Who's nervous?
You.
Me. Well, yeah. Once it goes in, it's done. Alright, let's do it. Man, this stuff is so different. It's probably too thin. Should add some sand. Wanted it to be super, super sloppy so that it fills in every little groove. It has a nice smooth look to it at the end.
I think it's stuck. I think it's good.
Nah, I think that's perfect. We'll just keep it that texture.
And a lot of
Yeah. Alright, so I am officially very legitimately nervous now. Not just because we're pouring the concrete in and it's no more chances to change anything, but because I don't think I have enough concrete. I literally think we're going to run out, which would be devastating because I'll never be able to get the color to match again. And I don't even have another bag of cement with me, so I can't whip up any more. It would be not good. So stop dripping it on the floor. Oh, please don't run out. think this should end up being a pretty nice charcoal color, or at least like a dark gray. It's hard to tell because as it dries, the color will change. It'll become a lot lighter, closer to a medium gray. Now, don't drop any more on the ground, you bonehead. I'm so nervous. I think it's gonna be like, it's gonna come down to a final bucket or two. It's gonna be really close. Starting to feel better. Come on, fill up faster.
Couple of inches, right?
That's true. I could just lower the height. That's true. Okay. I think we literally have just like we might have half a bucket to spare. That was sketchy. All right, let's get out the sander and we'll get this stuff vibrated in. I don't think that's strong enough. I should have reinforced the formworks back there better. I'm trying to get any possible air bubbles out, but this just isn't quite strong enough. That was beyond nerve-wracking to come down to literally 2 trowelfuls of cement. That's all we had left. But it's all full, finished off, screened off nice. Just need to wait for it to dry a couple of hours. But look, it's hard to see because of the color, but literally 2 trowelfuls left. That's all we had remaining. I'm gonna let this dry for 5 or 6 hours, maybe even tomorrow morning. We'll have to wait and see. And then I'm gonna take this front off just to be able to smooth out that front edge. Maybe. I'm not sure. I'm a little nervous because I poured it so wet. Might be better just to leave it sit, but it's gonna be just lovely. So I made a pretty stupid mistake. I think the heat got the better of me. My brain wasn't working, and I cleaned up the concrete mixer and went inside to cool down and fell asleep, and came back out 2 hours later to realize that I never shut off the garden hose. So this entire area was just flooded, and I feel so bad for wasting so much water, but man, the heat feels nice now with it being evening, but it's been getting to me. there's a fair few pinholes, air pocket holes, that originally I wasn't very happy with, but the more I look at it, I'm quite pleased with, because it makes the whole thing look like a piece of lava stone or something, which I kind of really love, especially with the color. Now that the formworks are off, I'm just trying to round off the edges ever so slightly, not too much, and flatten the top just a little bit, because I couldn't really get it too terribly flat while the formworks were in place. So I'm just trying to scrape back a little bit of this, but overall I'm super pleased. It will take a couple of days for the full final color to come in, but I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being a really nice dark charcoal level color, which is what I was going for. The real test is to see if I can get this centerpiece out here without damaging any of the slots. This side looks perfect. I didn't quite vibrate in the mortar very well on these ones, so I'm going to have to do some repair work, at least in the front, but we'll see for the rest of it. That's why I pin nailed these rather than using regular nails. The reason why I want to disassemble it while it's still fragile and delicate is just to be able to round the corners, to fix anything that needs to be fixed, smooth everything out, rather than letting it sit until tomorrow when I can't do a ton with it. I should have assembled this in a better way. I don't know that I can get it out. I didn't think about that. Since there's extra surface area in these little bits right here, it's going to grip onto the mortar, which means I might even need to wait a couple of days, because this wood would have expanded with the moisture. I might need to wait for that to dry out.
Today we are moving back into the inside kitchen and working on drawer boxes for my top drawers in the kitchen, which I'm very happy about. Bradey and I definitely have different priorities as to like what is the most important thing to get done, and we keep kind of moving around, but today I'm very excited because my kitchen is going to be one step closer to being fully finished.
And as a quick update, I'm still waiting for this to cure a little bit better. I probably made these side panels not in the best way because it's really gripping onto the concrete. So I've got this clamped up because this one started to crack. This one's still fine, but I just want as much water content to be dried out of these as possible, get these boards dry, and then I'll try to pry it out there, hopefully without any cracking or anything. I think I forgot to factor in the thickness of the bottom. The heat is getting me. I made a mistake, and when I was measuring the height of the drawers, I forgot to factor in the bottom thickness of the panel, so now they're all too tall and they won't actually fit in. So all of these side pieces now have to cut one more time. Well, that may unfortunately be it. There's nothing that drives me more crazy than not being able to find tools, or in this case, supplies, and got to the end of the process of building out these drawers and I cannot find the strips that you glue on the edges of the plywood. Right here, you don't want to see the edges, the cuts of the plywood here, and that nice poplar finish that we were putting on with my dad that you iron on. I've torn this place apart for the last hour and a half looking for it. So unfortunately, we'll have to pick this up another day when I can go to the store to buy that. But for now, I want to remove the last little bit of formworks to see if our little barbecue area has survived. So I'm thrilled with how this looks, but I'm not entirely convinced it's going to survive taking off the last bit of formworks, as the first time I tried to wiggle this out, a crack started forming. I didn't really factor in the possibility that adding in those strips really creates a lot of extra grip and those boards really swelled up. So they've been sitting here for 3 days now, I think. The concrete's really firmed up. It's going to take another couple of weeks for it to be fully cured, but I'm too impatient. I want to just rip this apart and see if it's going to survive. I give it like a 50-50 chance that it's actually going to work. If it doesn't, I have an idea of how I can fix it, but it's not going to be very pretty. So fingers crossed this works. All right. So slow and even pressure. The bottom, it doesn't want to come loose. It must be stuck inside the cement, yeah. Oh ho ho. Come on. This is nerve-wracking. Not terrible. All right, this side likely will survive. It's that one that I'm not. See, there's definitely some cement mixing, but I can add that in, just try to color match it. Can I get this guy out? That's the question. Ah, no. That's not what you want. Oh, that's a shame. Yep. My goodness. So there likely were a lot of mistakes made in this project here, but I'm determined to fix it. Number one, if you remember, I did not have enough mix, so I started adding more and more and more sand to it. Well, the result is that I'm quite astonished how flimsy this mixture is. And it's likely because it turned out to be probably a 6-to-1 ratio of sand to cement, which is just far too weak. And yeah, it's only been 3 days of cure time, but this is not mortar. This is not. So that does make me nervous about its long-term viability. But the plan is to shave this back while it's still a little bit pliable. And then I'm going to coat the outside and the bottom with a fire brick, which will help stabilize it and hopefully keep it alive. Alright, well this is probably how I should have poured it all along. I've gone ahead and I've scraped back 4 centimeters on either side, removing those grooves. And then now I've got the space to add fire bricks. So I'll line either side of the wall with fire bricks, maybe even the bottom as well. Probably should, just for safety. And then that'll allow me to, with the fire bricks, place them at different intervals to be able to then slide in the grill. I think the moral of the story is don't work outside during a heat wave. A lot didn't go right this week, but that's okay. In the end, we will get there. I just need to buy the fire bricks and repair this. But looking forward to moving on, finishing off the concrete countertops. But first, I really need to get those drawers placed inside for Heather. Finishing one project at a time, that's something that I struggle with. But with that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.